What's up, fellas? We're doing a job for Slavo today. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong. The English language was broken on purpose. So this is what we got over here. He sent me 3 of these tanks and he wanted some burners installed to them. And I'm curious as to whether or not I should just build one of my infrared heaters for this job. Not sure what I want to do about that. We're going to try this setup right here. See if this works out. Okay, Slavo, when you go to light these things, the best way to get it lit is to use very low air and very high fuel, like maybe 40% power. You want a lot of oil during ignition and very little air. Then it's usually best to let it warm up a second before you do too much adjusting, but the way I like to do it is I turn the air up just to where it stops sputtering. I had this thing running a little bit before I did zoom that out. I'm cutting this bar out of the way. I don't like how it's obstructing our view, if you're wondering what's going on there. So I brought a cordless angle grinder out here to cut this bar out of our way. It's not needed for this stand anymore. This stand used to have a drill press on it, but I just wanted to show you that this tank is about half full of water and we're getting some pretty good steam production. I can tell that it's boiling away in there because the tank is shaking, and when you touch the valves on the burner, you can feel that water boiling. So that's kind of where we are right here. This one little burner's running at about 27 kilowatts, 27,000 watts. That's about 90,000 BTUs or so. And for contrast, they sell an 80,000 BTU salamander, like a kerosene torpedo type heater at Menards. So we're doing 10,000 BTUs higher than the smallest torpedo heater you can buy, but it's definitely burning this extremely dirty oil. Now, this particular batch of oil is extremely filthy. It's full of bugs and gunk and slime and water. It has not been filtered at all. And now you can do that, but the problem is you may experience a flame out if a large bubble of water or pocket of water comes through. So it's definitely something to be on the lookout for. I highly recommend you set up some type of flame eye on this. I do also build and sell control boxes. It's something you could probably do yourself also if you don't have the cash. Everybody's kind of strapped right now, I know how that is, but you can run them like this just naked, but it's not a full system like this. It's just the burner. So if you've got some really bad fuel and you walk away from this thing, you might get a flame out if a large pocket of some type of slime or something gets stuck in the valve or whatever. So I let this thing run for like 2 hours today. That's because I just wanted to see how reliable it was going to be. Here is the graduated cylinder that I use to determine the fuel output. I recommend during your first bit of testing, you do it on diesel fuel. That'll give you a feel for the machine. It'll help you kind of acknowledge what its real or its perfect operating parameters are. Its optimal operating condition, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Sorry, I was at a loss of words there. You can see I do have a little bit of flame impingement going on there. I suggest that we lower this burner a couple more notches to where you don't have the flame directly touching that tank. Or another idea is we take a piece of metal and we set a piece of metal there so that the flame's hitting the metal. Ran out of gas on the compressor. 22 minutes to burn 1 liter of fuel. So the one piece of advice that I could give you would be to be sure that the oil is filtered very well. Any blobs of oil, any oily gunk, that is some very thick bus oil that we're using. It's not an ideal fuel for, you know, a reliable heating source if you're not going to filter it. If you want superb reliability, you're probably going to want to get like a centrifugal oil filter to get all the water and all the slime, or some kind of really good gravity filter set up to where you're never taking that first 6 inches of fluid out of the tank that your reservoir consists of. Because waste oil has sludge in it also. It's not just oil sometimes. It's got clumpy, gunky nastiness. And as I said, that's bus oil. That's out of school buses, so it's probably a pretty thick grade of oil. It certainly seems thicker than regular motor oil, which is what I typically use. It comes from the garage next door to my house. We've got a workshop that does all the school buses for the town. So if a blob of water comes floating through, or a big clumpy, conglomeration of dirt and filth, you may experience a flame out. And I've seen this in clear oil hoses before. When I've switched to diesel, sometimes you can see a little blob of dirt rolling through the hose. Sometimes you'll see a little bead of water rolling through the hose, and when that bead of water hits the atomizer, it can induce a flame out. So you definitely want to be on your oil filtration game. You're going to have to filter this stuff pretty good if you want to be able to walk away from these burners. Or the other option is just to have them set on a very high setting. The setting that I had it on was very low. You can get 90 kilowatts out of those burners. 50 kilowatts is the most stablest region, and we were running at 27. So we were at about half power there. We were boiling the water. Not a lot of steam production, but then again, it sounds like you're doing hydronic heating, so you don't want steam production. You just need 212 degree water. I would also put a shroud around those tanks so that residual heat passes up around the walls of that tank, so you're not just heating on the bottom. I don't know where we're going to go from here. I don't really have time to try the other idea that I had. I'm out of time. I don't have any time. I've got 10 orders I got to have out by Monday, and it's Saturday night, so I'm about ready to slave to the grind. So there you go. The mount is done. I've got a pretty good idea about how high you need to have on those legs. I'll get you a measurement for those legs. And that's what we got. So let me know what you think.